there. It's 3 plays 1. This is the men's quarterfinal.
That's a nice serve there from Paul. That's that deep left crack. The ball picks up a lot of speed off the side wall. Charlie able to guide that ball straight down that left side wall. Paul misplays it.
Charlie serving. 1 serves 4.
We've seen Charlie make a couple of really nice gets here early in this first game. Almost picked up that corner kill. We're seeing Paul serve that hard 2-wall serve into the left side wall. He'll serve that deep and short. It looks like he's actually trying to hit that ball into the left side wall. See, most players try and serve it straight down the walls, particularly on their first serve.
You see Paul Brady walking around the court here. He has that high wrap around his right thigh area. You said it was a hip injury. I heard it was a quadricep injury. Either way, you can see he is laboring just a little bit out there. Paul needs his legs because that's where he generates all that power from.
I was just speculating about his injury. I really don't know much about it. Paul moved extremely well to pick up that ball.
Look at these amazing gets, Dave. And the crowd appreciates what they just saw. You're watching the World Handball Championships 2009, brought to you by Waterford Crystal and the World Handball Council, as well as the United States Handball Association. Paul Brady, men's quarterfinal match versus Charlie Shanks.
Battle of 2 Irishmen. Actually, 3 Irish out of the 4 quarterfinals in the top half of this draw, if that made any sense to anyone. Probably not. But we've got Charlie Shanks taking on Paul Brady, and in our next matchup in the bottom of the top bracket, we have Irishman Robbie McCarthy taking on Emmett Bishop. Charlie has yet to find the range on his serve here early in his first game. We saw him move over to the left yesterday and serve down the middle with a lot of effectiveness. Haven't seen him go to that yet.
I believe he goes to that serve when he's feeling really comfortable. Takes a lot of confidence to serve a ball down the middle to your opponent.
That's a nice scoop there from Paul. You see Paul, you think he's going back into the left corner. He scoops that ball inside out and back down the right. Doesn't have a lot of pace on it, but he's got Charlie going the wrong direction. He earns the side out. We want to welcome everybody in, Dave, tuning in from around the world, checking out this World Championship handball action.
It's 11:15 Pacific Standard Time on in the state of Oregon, just north of the state capital of Salem. We're in Portland, Oregon, Great Pacific Northwest. I lived in Oregon for 30 years. It's always nice to return. Paul Brady from Mullahoran, County Cavan in Ireland. Charlie Shanks from Armagh, Belfast, Northern Ireland.
I think Charlie senses this is a big opportunity for him. He's played Paul a number of times, has yet to come away with a win, but he's facing a little bit of a different Paul Brady here in this event.
1 serve 7.
I have to say, if Paul Brady was ever vulnerable, it would be at this event, Dave. We alluded to that injury that he's fighting right now. He actually initially hurt that playing Gaelic football just about 2.5 weeks ago. And and then re-aggravated doing some plyometrics, getting ready for this event. Missing the prestigious Golden Gloves in Ireland, the tune-up for this championship. That was actually won by Owen Kennedy.
Wow, nice shot right there from Charlie Shanks. Dives and lets that ball slide down that left wall. 3 serve 7. First game going to 21. Charlie's a hop artist, but he goes for sliders, much like Luis Moreno does with his hop serve. You see a similarity between Luis and Charlie? You've played them both in their serving ability?
No, I think that the service is a lot different. Luis hits the ball significantly harder than Charlie.
But in the approach of sliding balls for aces, is it similar? They both try to go for naturals down the right wall, reverses down the left?
I can understand what you're saying, but I don't see much similarity. I get aced a lot by both of them, so that's similar.
Maybe that was the correlation I was trying to make.
I was actually counting yesterday. Got aced 14 times in the first game and 15 in the second game.
Well, at least you're consistent. You're watching the 2009 Waterford Crystal World Handball Championships in the Multnomah Athletic Club, Portland, Oregon, sanctioned by the WHC and the United States Handball Association, brought to you live over the internet by the WPH, WePlayHandball.com. Paul Brady, Charlie Shanks, men's quarterfinals. This is an All-Ireland quarterfinal here for at least this match, and then almost every single bracket as you look down, you're going to see some type of Irish participation here in the quarters.
This is really reaching the business end here. This week in the World Championships, we have the women starting their singles bracket today in the 4-wall. We actually can catch a glimpse of Jessica Gawley and Jen Hinman. That's the 8 and 9 matchup. We also have the big ball singles into the semifinals today. A lot of crystal will be awarded today in the age brackets as well. So this is an exciting day here in the MAC. See Paul just show this full arsenal of shots right there. A fly kill, a dump down the right, and then a beautiful pass down the left with Charlie on the ground.
And timeout is called by Charlie Shanks, probably a smart one to take. It's the Waterford Crystal 2009 World Handball Championships from the Multnomah Athletic Club, show court number 10 here at the Multnomah Athletic Club. My name is Dave Vincent. Sitting next to me here is David Fink in the balcony. Yesterday we brought up the fact that for a men's round of 16, that was one of the biggest crowds that we've ever seen. Not just one match, but multiple matches throughout the day. And then all of a sudden, bright and early today, quarterfinals, we look at the gallery and it's easily another 100 people or more than the biggest match we saw yesterday. So I wonder what it's going to look like when we get down to the semifinals or even some of the later matches today when some of these participants finish up their other rounds of play. There's a lot of people that are watching that are also participating in this tournament. So a lot of that also dictates how many people are going to show up in the stands here. But have you ever really seen this many people at a handball event before, Dave?
Well, I watched the one-wall doubles, semifinals and finals with Dave Chapman playing with Joe Kaplan, and I saw at least 500 people watching that match. I know you were prepping for this 4-wall webcasting. I did my homework at home, so I was able to check out a lot of that action. I never saw so many people watching a handball match. This was a full basketball gym, NBA size gym, and the court was covered on all 3 sides, stretching 50 feet beyond the left line.
So you're answering my question by saying yes, you have. You've seen
I've
bigger
seen
crowds.
it, and I've seen more.
Okay,
That's what I'm
right.
saying.
Okay.
Charlie not playing at the top of his game right now, in my opinion. We haven't seen his serve clicking yet. That's only the second back wall kill Charlie's executed. He's had a number of opportunities. We'll see if he can get on track here. That's a good serve there. Paul stays with it, though. That's just sheer power right there, Dave.
Do you think that because of that injury that Paul has, Charlie's subconsciously telling himself to try to push Paul back and forth, side to side?
That's the first good point I've ever heard you make, Dave. I think our listeners certainly appreciate it. That's an excellent thought.
Well, I think sometimes subconsciously
it can be harder.
You force yourself to do things that you really shouldn't be doing, right?
It can be harder to play someone injured than it can be to play injured. Your whole mindset changes. You're passing up kill shots because you think you need to move your opponent around. It's an interesting dynamic.
So out of the 10,000 words I've said here on the webcast, there was a series of words that actually held true.
About 8.
8 words. It's not a bad percentage.
Charlie looks a little bit tight to me right now, Dave. And that'll happen when you're playing the guy. The 2-time defending world champion. That's got a nice ring to it.
Looking for the three-peat.
Nice get there from Paul. I think we can say that rumors of Paul's injury have been greatly exaggerated from what we're seeing here today. Paul's moving with his usual cat-like quickness. Also has that X factor, that power.
12 serves 3. It's a setup.
It's a nice shot there. Charlie takes care of business. A lot of times you'll see players try and get a little too fancy with that shot, that back wall, front wall shot. Charlie just drove that ball right down the right side wall with a nice natural on it. You alluded to yesterday, Dave, Charlie proclaiming that he has the best serve in handball. It's certainly in the top 5. Very frustrating for a big server to not be able to win any free points on his serve. We haven't seen Charlie win any yet today against Paul. Paul's been able to get his hand on every serve and bring all of them back.
Score is 4-12. This is the first game. It's a timeout call from Paul Brady. It's the 2009 World Handball Championships at the Multnomah Athletic Club, brought to you by Waterford Crystal, the World Handball Council, United States Handball Association, streaming live over your computer courtesy of the WPH and WePlayHandball.com. Dave Fink in the booth alongside yours truly, Dave Vincent, Jeff Kastner in the production studio, and Omar Lemus flying in from Texas, helping us with the camera. Gene Kazumoto doing the stats. The whole team out here, recognizing that this is a world championship, trying to bring out the best production crew that we possibly can. And we're also going to have a sideline reporter on the finals, Kara Mack. As you recall, Kara from the U.S. Open days, where she was our sideline reporter.
Kara's going to be here?
Kara's going to be here as our sideline reporter, probably on the finals days. You're excited about that?
She's a pro's pro.
So get ready for an star-studded performance from the Jeff Kastner production crew. 12 serves 4, timeout back in now. Paul Brady serving to Charlie Shanks.
Not a good serve there from Paul. Charlie unable to take advantage. We made mention yesterday, Dave, that it just doesn't seem like the players are hitting the ball as hard as we're used to seeing them hit. A lot of that has to do with these somewhat dead walls. We're playing on panel board, and the ball's also not as lively as we're used to seeing them, particularly if you compare it to the 2006 World Championships where that new ball came out and that ball was flying all over the court. Having said that, though, Dave, we can definitely see tremendous velocity on Paul Brady's ball here today.
Nice ceiling from Charlie. Those are the shots that hurt Paul right there.
It's a nice shot there from Charlie. Well played point there. Kept Paul behind him.
4 serves, 14. First game going to 21. Charlie Shanks in the box. Wow. I thought that maybe the velocity issue was a little bit from our perspective as we're sitting right on the front wall, just a little bit to the left. You're looking from the back to the front. And it just seems that we're just looking at the game a little different. But you played in there, and you're saying that it's a little bit deader, more dead than previous tournaments.
I did feel that way. We see 2 consecutive return to serve rollouts. One from Paul and now from Charlie. Gets himself back in the box. We're going to find out, though, today. I see Gene down in the front row installing that radar gun. So we'll have that reading for you shortly. Charlie's got a good point here. It's one of the few times you'll hear Paul Brady speak during a handball match. He said something to the referee there. I'm not sure what it was.
He was certainly in favor of that replay. It wasn't, let's do it over, or give him the point. It was more or less, let's do it over. And you saw Charlie get a little upset and threw the ball toward the referee. And you know exactly that feeling where you know you can't throw it at him, so you throw it toward him.
You can throw it at him. You might just be forfeited from the match.
And you're speaking from experience, so.
That's a great shot there from Paul. Nice pickup.
Paul Brady could not do the Michael Gregan shot.
That's an effective pickup, that digging up a kill and floating it back, that high 2-wall shot gets you back in the point. A lot of times will win you the point because you've got your opponent charging in, covering the re-kill. You send that ball over his head almost like a lob. Certainly is an effective shot. Haven't seen Charlie use this serve. Look at that perfect shot. Certainly there is some degree of good fortune there, but a perfectly hit 3-wall shot. That's the ideal height and pace. And he catches that crotch in there, back wall.
Nice shot from Charlie right there. A little congested. I thought there was contact after a swing that Charlie made.
I like our referee letting the action continue.
4 serves, 14. A lot of power right there from Charlie.
Nice kill there from Charlie.
Five to 14 now.
Charlie's certainly stepping up his game here.
Oh, nice
There's
serve.
a great serve.
That's a double bounce.
That's his first ace of this game.
That's a natural hook that he puts on that ball.
5 plus 14. 6, mark, 6 plus 14.
Don't know what the referee thought he saw there. Surprised that Charlie went to the reverse on that. or excuse me, into the natural again over there to the left side. He had the natural to the right. Usually you go over to the left and go into a reverse.
Charlie makes a mistake with that serve, and Paul unable to do anything with it.
8 serves, 14. Charlie electing to take that ball with his left, Dave. He could have come in there with his right, but you said you do that to pin Paul behind you? He had Paul behind him, so he stayed with the left. He went to the right. Couldn't he have hit it behind himself and pinned him as well?
Well, a lot of times if you take that ball with your right, you only have one shot, which is back into that left corner. If you take it with your left, you're able to use the whole court, disguise your shot a lot better. There's also the issue of having enough time to move over to your left to get your right hand on that ball. A lot of times you jam yourself, end up swinging in against your body, off balance. The left hand gives you the option to shoot in the left corner, straight down the left, or down the right.
You're watching the 2009 World Handball Championships from the Multnomah Athletic Club, brought to you by the United States Handball Association, the World Handball Council, and Waterford Crystal, streaming live over your computer. WePlayHandball.com, the world players of handball. Jeff Kastner and his production crew putting together a really good webcast for you so you can watch this at home or wherever you are. We've got a lot of reports from Ireland, Mexico, Canada, Japan, Israel, New Zealand, Australia. The list goes on. Want to thank everyone for tuning in.
We have a bird's eye view here, Dave, of some of the other show courts here at the MAC. We are catching women's round of 16 action kicking off today. Jessica Gawley taking on Jennifer Hinman, also Fiona Shannon in action. Charlie should have won this point a couple of times. Now Paul with the setup.
Nice right there.
Paul goes to that Irish whip. Nice 2-all pass there.
Here's the setup for Charlie.
Just misses that shot right there. Looked like a slight miss hit. Looked like it was going to make it. It didn't.
14 serves 9. First game.
That was one of those
21
pivotal points right there in this first game. Should Charlie go on to lose this game, he'll look to that point.
Actually, it was a side out.
Paul's calling a bad
The referee
bounce
will
here.
give it to him, by the way. Paul seems to have his public image kind of helps him out on shots like this. Earlier,
That's another good point. You're actually leading me 2-0 today, early here this morning.
Well, we saw earlier Charlie hit that ball that double bounced over there. The referee was just going to give it to Paul, saying it was a bad bounce. He thought Paul something had bounced.
His reputation precedes him.
And
He's
Paul,
a classy gentleman.
nice side out right there from Charlie. Score 9-14, or 2-0 to me if you're keeping score at home. Normally I don't brag about these things, but it just does never happen. 5 years of doing webcasts. That ball squelches out back there.
Bad break there for Charlie. Looked like he was going to have a pretty easy setup with his right hand coming around that revolving door. Paul called a timeout at 9-14. Players have exchanged 2 side outs apiece. The score still remains 14-9. The second left-handed kill shot attempt that we've seen Charlie miss here since the timeout. This could easily be 11 or 12-14 right now, with Charlie firmly entrenched into this game. Now he's got to be worried about the gunner stretching this lead and possibly regaining that momentum he established early in this first game.
Oh, Charlie almost gets that.
Paul puts just enough reverse on that shot to run it down that sidewall. It catches the sidewall about 6 inches high. Charlie's able to get his left hand on that ball, but unfortunately for him, unable to return that ball to the front wall. Now, Paul takes a 16-9 lead. I think here a good timeout from Charlie. Charlie's lost that momentum he built in that comeback. Was trailing 14-9, now trailing 16-9.
You're watching the Waterford Crystal 2009 Handball Championships from the Multnomah Athletic Club. Brought to you by the World Handball Council, the USHA, and streaming live on your computer at WePlayHandball.com. Dave?
We actually see Jess Golly in a match that I'm very interested in. I'm not so sure why you're not, but she's returning to pro women's handball as a mother. We saw Kim Kleiser's return after a 2-year layoff in women's tennis as a mother and actually winning her first major back. Could that be a dream scenario here at the World Handball Classic, World Handball Championships with Jessica Golly? Bring her baby, MJ, Marcus, here. He's watching in the crowd.
We'll try to give you updates when we get that score of that women's quarterfinal match.
That's actually the round of 16. That's the 8 and 9
Wow.
seed. Jessica Golly ranked as high as number 3 just 3 years ago before a maternity leave. She's hopefully back for good.
Like the players from Belgium that have just showed up into the show court here, Dave.
There's a bad miss hit there from Charlie. Paul not shooting the ball as well as we've seen him in the past, Dave. He's passing up a number of setup opportunities.
Nine plays 15.
Just hasn't been able to dial in that serve down the right thus far.
Paul is allowing Charlie to stay in this game.
That's a nice shot there from Paul. Paul stretches out,
Charlie.
still able to blast that ball with his left hand down the right with the reverse.
Charlie's hurt here. He hit his hip. At one point it was 13-4, and now it's 15-9.
Actually 16.
It's actually 15. I don't know if you know, there's that little...
The scoreboard has not been updated. It is 16-9.
Referee looked at me, I pointed the scoreboard and made the change.
Gene Tasimoto not working the scoreboard. That's the referee's job. He's got a lot on his plate here in the hot seat.
I'm like Ron Burgundy. I read whatever's on the teleprompter.
Paul catches that crack. Pretty fortunate there. That was not a great shot there.
Do you think if Charlie would have left his feet and just tried to get a hand on that?
We're actually doing a replay here. Charlie talked our referee into that replay. I thought that ball cracked out. No complaint from Paul. That's the kind of miss that you hate to make. At 17-9 now, a pretty simple return of serve with the right hand. Looks like it's going to be a replay. That hit Paul right about at his heel, just above his shoe.
Also caught Paul as he was backing into that shot. Paul was still moving when he got hit.
Bad miss hit there from Paul.
Score is 9-17. First game going to 21. Men's quarterfinal match. Charlie Shanks serving to Paul Brady. Here's the serve. Just can't get that first one over.
So much of that serve, Dave, is about rhythm. If you're not in rhythm with your serve, you're going to hit a lot of short balls.
Charlie Shanks from Armagh, Northern Ireland. Right, very close to where the Titanic was filmed. was made, not filmed, but made, created. And Paul Brady from Mullahorn, County Cavan in Ireland.
That's the worst feeling in handball right there, Dave. Passing up a setup, electing to hit a pass shot, bring the pass shot off the back wall, and seeing your opponent roll that ball out.
Paul wanted to do that, but he didn't want to hit it that hard. Nice get from Charlie.
Paul driving that ball behind Charlie there, straight down the right. Charlie was anticipating a shot into that left corner.
Paul Brady, you can see that he's slightly winded here. He knows that Charlie's going to have to clean off this floor. You're watching the 2009 Waterford Crystal World Handball Championship. Score 18-9. Paul Brady, first match of the day in the men's quarterfinals. The one coming up after this. Robbie McCarthy faces Emmett Pashot. 18 serves 9. Do you have a feeling that Paul stepped up his game just a little bit here, Dave? Hitting the ball crisper, a little bit harder?
I think Charlie's missing a number of opportunities here.
You hear the
That'll
crowd
be a
wincing.
replay.
You heard the crowd wincing in pain there. That ball caught Charlie in his left arm, near his elbow, not on his back. Ball is broken, and I thought it broke on that ceiling shot earlier, and I almost said something, but that's one of the very few times you see a guy hit another one and break the ball on. Broke that ball on Charlie's elbow. That's going to be a replay. You're watching the Waterford Crystal 2009 Handball Championships, the World Championships. Paul Brady facing Charlie Shanks. First game going to 21, 19-9 is the score. My name is Dave Vincent alongside Dave Fink. This is the first match, the first webcasting match of the day. We have some great matches lined up today with Robbie McCarthy, Emmett Pashot coming up after this one. And then Alan Garner and Dave Chapman is going to pack the house. And then after that, that house is going to remain packed because Luis Moreno and Tony Healy are going to be in here. And that might be one of the biggest galleries we've seen here. 19 serves 9.
That was a short serve. Had Charlie fooled looking down the left. Here's the second serve. Beautiful Z serve there.
A lot of power
grimacing there. Looks like that hip or groin strain, whichever it is bothering him more and more with each point.
As for the press release, there it is. That one actually did foolish Charlie, and Paul Brady wins that one 21-9. According to the press release, they say it was a high leg strain for Paul Brady. Whatever that means, it's either a quad or a hamstring. 21-9 is the score to end that first game. Paul Brady over Charlie Shanks, who goes in there to hit that ball a couple more times. We're also going to take.
Ball came in, and Paul quickly scoring 2 consecutive points.
We're also going to take a timeout here, Dave. We'll be back in just a few. For Jeff Kastner, Omar Lemus, Gene Kazumoto, the World Handball Council, United States Handball Association, Waterford Crystal. My name is Dave Vincent. And yours truly, Dave Fink, over here. We'll be back in just a few from the Multnomah Athletic Club. Stick with us.
Microphone should be on. Down. Yeah, no. Just talk into it.
This one here?
No, the one right there.
And we are back from the Multnomah Athletic Club. Game number 2 is now underway. Paul Brady serving to Charlie Shanks.
Charlie now looks like he's moving a little bit gingerly. Since that fall at 18-9 in the first game, looks like maybe a hip pointer or something. I saw Charlie pull up on that last get.
That's his right hip.
Paul quickly off to a lead here in this second game.
As he has been with every match he's played over the last 5 years. And I'm not being cynical.
Well, we saw Luis Moreno beat Paul handily in the first game last year at the Simple Green U.S. Open, actually winning that game 21-8. So not so much.
Well, 1 out of 52 ain't bad.
Paul actually losing that match to Luis Moreno just 347 days ago in Orange County. 11-10 in the tiebreaker. That's his first tournament loss in the United States since 2004 on this very court. And you can see Charlie, I'm not sure if it's fatigue or if it is some sort of injury.
It's nice to see the blonde bombshell making his way over to the webcast booth. This time with his shirt on. Normally he comes over with his shirt off. Gorgeous as he is.
The gallery in tow as they always are.
Just following behind him like the astronauts trying to get on the space shuttle. Score here though, 4-0.
It's one of the few times, Dave, you don't mind being crowded. You've got about 12 supermodels hovering right on top of you as the blonde bombshell steps in.
There's a replay
Fortunately
here.
for us, the bombshell going to stretch, and that means no more gallery for us.
It's frustrating. You're watching the 2009 Waterford Crystal World Handball Championships from the Multnomah Athletic Club, brought to you by Waterford Crystal and the World Handball Council and the United States Handball Association and a ton of other people like Columbia Sportswear that have helped draw this thing together, plus a ton of volunteers. Streaming live over your computer from Nifty TV and the World Players of Handball at WePlayHandball.com. And we're missing out on a whole bunch of other guys, Dave. Hopefully I'll get a list. I'll pass it along.
I think we should say hello to our good friend and comrade in the booth, Ben Thumb. We know he's watching somewhere in California. Charlie really off to a slow start here in this second game, losing the first game 21-9. Charlie really not showing any signs right now of getting himself into this second game. Looks a little bit flat, a little bit fatigued as well. That's not a good combination when you're playing the gunner.
Well, I usually look fat and fatigued, so I can kind of relate to what you're saying.
Charlie struggled with that pass shot down the right throughout this match. Paul's won a number of points sliding that pass down the right about a foot high. Charlie moving to his left and not adjusting. And you see Charlie with trying to force that kill there. That ball slid down the right side wall on that serve, and Charlie catches that ball behind him rather than taking that ball back to the ceiling or wrapping it. He tries to shoot that ball right in front of Paul. He skips it. So Paul quickly with a 7-0 lead here in the second game. Charlie takes his first time out.
First game went to Paul Brady, winning 21-9. This is the upper bracket quarterfinal match, the very first one of the day. Later on, we have Robbie McCarthy versus Emmett Pashot, and then the upper bracket of, the upper side of the lower bracket, which is Alan Garner facing Dave Chapman, and then Luis Moreno versus the number 2 seed, Tony Healy. We want to make sure you stick around for all of that action because it's going to get better as the day goes on. And I don't know if you could even say that after watching a Paul Brady match, but there's a lot of great talent here. 38 players in this particular fixture, which is one of the biggest draws that we've seen in an open World Championship in so long, Dave. I think last year they only had, or 3 years ago, they only had 22.
For those of you watching at home, this is the World Handball Championships. This takes place only once every 3 years, similar to the Olympics, and it rotates sites each time. 1 year in the United States, the next in Ireland, and the following championships in Canada. So it moves around. It gives all the handball passionate handball players an opportunity to attend and travel and see the best players in the world.
There are other countries that are interested besides those three. They've held a World Championship in Australia, but they will probably not do that again until a different court system is set up there. They tore down the facility that had 18 courts and only...
Actually, I played there at the King Club in Melbourne. The World Championships held there in 1988. Matty Alvarado Sr. winning that World Championship. A number of those Australians, David, here this week, including Simon Mappa Fitzgerald, Vic DeLuzio, Joe Santilli, Brantley Fraser, just a bunch of passionate handball players, great guys also. Took care of myself and Emmett when we spent some time there in Australia just about 2.5 years ago. I hope our listeners weren't as disinterested in that story as you are. There's Paul just putting the hammer down there.
As I look down to kind of cap off your story, I look down with Team Belgium sitting here. We have a player from New Zealand, tons from Ireland, Italy, Ireland, and pretty much all around the globe, Dave. Japan. And that's another site, too, that was talking about interest in having a World Handball Championship was in Japan. And now I hear there's some movement going along in Italy, possibly try to host a games. So that's good to see the sport expanding to other countries.
Japan actually hosting Emmett Pichot and Owen Kennedy for an exhibition just a 1.5 years ago. I won't go into that story because I noticed your disinterest in my last one.
It's really just a disinterest in you, frankly, not the story.
Fair enough.
Just you as a person.
Or fair dinkum, as they'd say in Australia.
I'm actually more interested in that now. This is the second game. First one went to Paul Brady, 21-9. Charlie Shanks from Armagh, Northern Ireland. Mullahoran County, Cavan is where Paul Brady is from in Ireland.
Not sure what happened there.
Paul Brady actually served it before the score was called.
See Paul just not moving forward well with that upper leg injury.
0 serves 11. There's the first point for Charlie Shanks.
Paul really able to use that left hand and pick up a lot of balls that you think might be out of his reach. Nice pickup there from Paul.
Paul controls that front part of the court up there.
That's a late call there from our referee.
Paul lifted his hand after that shot that he made. Sometimes you break through to try to see if you can get a hand on it.
We're working feverishly to get you updates on these women matches, but it's just so crowded down there, Dave. Our our reporter's having a hard time signaling. For those of you who don't know, we're about 8 levels underground here, so there is no cell phone use.
Two serves 11. I mean, were you thinking about picking up a cell phone and calling while you're doing a live broadcast, just so you can get a hold of somebody that's 50 feet away from us? I mean, I think really they're disinterested in you, as am I. But if I try, I bet you I can get the score. Ready? Let's just see. Let's just do it.
Got an extremely focused Dave Vincent in the booth this morning.
Three serves 11, 3 unanswered points now from Charlie Shanks.
Spent some time last night, Dave, talking to my doubles partner, Desi Keegan. We talked about more than just who's playing the left and right, telling me that the longer that you can keep Paul Brady on the court, the more advantageous it is to you, because he was telling me that mentally, Paul can tend to drift a little bit. Hand errors start to creep in when he's been on the court for a long time. Desi actually beating Paul Brady for the All-Ireland doubles championship last year. Desi and partner Joe McCann.
You think a lot of that, though, is because Paul ends up beating everybody so badly that he just gets a little bored after a while? Certainly, I would think so.
I think that's a very excellent observation. That's 3-0, actually, for you.
I am actually keeping score, so.
See, you marked that one down just now in your notebook, so there's no dispute there.
I can bring it back later and hold it against you, 11-4. The ball barely making the front wall. Paul Brady is so dangerous around that short line, that dotted line. His power seems to get a little better, or it improves around there. 12-4.
That's frustrating there. Charlie able to fist that return of serve to the ceiling.
Paul really laboring here. Look at this. Just watch the way he's walking right here with that. It looks like a guy that's pretty beat up out there. The score is 13-4. Won the first one, 21-9. And even though Paul Brady is injured, and maybe even playing 60-70%, he's still keeping his opponents in single digits.
I have a feeling that will change tomorrow. He takes on current 3-wall national champion Emmett Peugeot if Emmett defeats Irishman Robbie McCarthy.
That's a good call. I'm glad you threw that if out there. That match will be coming up right after this one. It's the Waterford Crystal 2009 World Handball Championships, brought to you by the World Handball Council, the United States Handball Association, and Waterford Crystal. Columbia Sportswear, brought to you live over the internet. And WePlayHandball.com by the WPH. We'll be here for the conclusion of these World Games in the Great Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon. The golden vocal cords of Dave Fink behind the microphone. Jeff Kastner in the production studio, and Omar Lemus. Plus we'll have Kara Mack doing sideline reporting just a little later on. Make sure to catch her. And all the matches that come up in the show court will get onto the live webcast. Just for you. Because we're cool like that. Timeout coming back in. Paul Brady serving at 13 to Charlie Shanks 4. Paul looked like he was a little gimpy there after that timeout call, but Paul is like a three-legged elk, just a little bit faster once he gets injured. Like saying what's worse than a healthy two-legged Paul Brady is a unhealthy one-legged Paul Brady.
Dave J. Vincent returning to form.
Does that erase my 3-0 or?
Actually, it doesn't. Okay.
Right. 4 serves 13 here. Yesterday we saw 2 double faults from Desi Keegan in his match against Luis Moreno. Thought for a second there, Charlie almost skipped a ball in on the serve.
Trying to drive that ball straight down the left side wall. It caught that side wall, gave Charlie an opportunity to keep the rally alive. Unfortunately for Charlie, hit the deck and unable to retrieve that ball. Paul actually has a little bit of trouble with his left knee as well, so he has problems with both legs right now and an elbow.
You see Dave Chapman down here, Emmett Bichotte, and Alan Garner on the American side watching this game. Remember back in the old days, the pros would just go back to the hotel room and, you know, worry about their match when it came up. Now we're seeing these pros really watching the other players play.
Smart shot there from Charlie. Forced Paul to commit. Gave him the Paul Brady misdirection right-hand scoop down the right. Unfortunately for our listeners, they were promised updates of that Jessica Gawley Jennifer Hinman match. You promised, didn't deliver.
Still working on it. Match is actually taking place right now. Don't want to bug anybody while they're viewing. Try not to be rude, disrespectful.
It's never stopped you before.
Oh, nice shot right there from Charlie, dug out from Paul Brady. This is a nice rally, Dave.
Charlie really wasting 3 golden opportunities there. Paul Brady pinned on his left. Charlie unable to execute a pretty routine kill. Deflating rally there for Charlie.
You heard the score, 14-4.
It's a setup here for Paul. Both guys leaving a number of their kills up in the front court. Beautiful pickup there from Paul. There's the setup.
That was tough, that ball coming off that glass. You've played in here. What do you see when you see that ball target off that left glass? What does it look like? Do you see a shadow? Do you see ball, does it look invisible at times?
You lose it just enough that you might misplay the shot.
That's a point for Charlie. Crack serve. Is it dark, or is you see reflection of the court inside?
It's a type of situation where you're seeing the ball, but just at the last second, hard to watch that ball into your hand because of the looked like a good serve, Charlie appealing it.
Wow, that was appealed and overturned.
This is certainly a situation that needs to be corrected. Linesman not necessarily understanding what the referee is asking.
And that's been something we've talked about a lot here. They seem to question. I know it's a World Games. There's a lot of different countries that are involved here, but the system is pretty easy. If you agree with the referee, you put your thumbs up, and if you disagree, you put your thumb down.
The problem is that the linesman can't hear the referee, and they're not sure what they're agreeing or disagreeing with. So often they're just saying short, and you don't know if they're asking you a question or they're saying that it's actually short.
That's a good point too, and I've heard that as the excuse is that line judge is over here around the corner to the left. He cannot hear what the referee is saying. We can hear it over our headphones. So that part seems weird if you're at home watching, but if you're actually here, you cannot hear what that referee is saying. And I believe there's been a good percentage of calls that were misguided, so to speak, from these left side line judges. But I could be wrong.
This is our third new ball, a game and a half into this match.
That's what happens when you have Paul Brady in the court. 5-14 here.
You can see that new ball. Jessica Gawley actually leading 5-2 now in the tiebreaker.
I get credit for getting that score update. I want to thank you for that. That's
I feel like I get a lot of credit as well because I reminded you about it. It's something that you'd forgotten that you promised. I'm just helping you maintain your integrity.
What integrity I have left. 5-14 after this weekend. I may be ahead 3-0 in the broadcast booth, but I'm behind 0-3 outside of the court. And I am keeping track.
Charlie choosing to take 2 balls in that rally with his left hand when could have easily taken him with his right. He skipped that last ball. Nice get there from Charlie. Paul just keeps pushing him back. That's a great point. Vintage Paul Brady there pushes Charlie back twice in a row into the left corner and then executes that brilliant right kill. Not a good serve there. That's a great shot there from Paul. And we see him go to that sort of modified Irish whip from time to time. It's sort of his safety get out of trouble shot. He can use it for offense as well. And here we see Paul just sort of finding that switch and turning it up when he needs it. He sensed that this is the right time to give it a little bit more juice. And that ball looked like it slid on the floor. Charlie's not complaining. That can happen with a new ball, Dave. You bring in a new ball, it can hit that floor and take off. No complaint, though, from Charlie. It's an ace serve.
Now Paul's pulling these serves left and right all over the place. 19-5. Paul sees it's time to put Charlie away, and you kind of see, like you said, he's just stepping it up a notch. 5 serves 19. Charlie loses the first one 21-9. Winner advances to face the winner of the Robbie McCarthy-Emmett Peixote match. This ball is really squirrely. I don't know.
Looks like a lopsided ball.
Sometimes it takes a while to work all the weird edges off of it.
Haven't seen the last rally, Dave, because I just watched a 43-shot rally in the tiebreaker between Jess Gawley and Jennifer Hinman, ending with a flat kill from Jessica Gawley. We're not sure of the score, but I do see Jessica Gawley serving. Paul hits the deck.
Wow.
What you see with Paul is that he doesn't rush any of his shots, David, and that's not an easy thing to do. It sounds easy, but you find yourself in there just overplaying balls. Paul doesn't do that. That's why you see him make so few hand airs and so rarely put the ball on the floor. You see right there, he lets that ball come to him. He doesn't attack those kills.
Oh, wow.
Paul looking for that Irish whip dump shot.
And he's trying to get rid of this game as quick as he can so he can get to the massage table. prepare for his semifinals match. 5 serves 20, second game.
That's a nice serve there from Charlie.
Charlie's serve gets better when he has a big lead or he's down by a lot.
That's number 4.
Noted.
I'm still stuck at 0.
You're watching the Waterford Crystal 2009 World Handball Championships. We're at game and match point. Serves 5, Paul Brady. Here in the men's quarterfinals.
This could do it right here. Yes, it does. Paul Brady guts it out.
That's Paul Brady defeating Charlie Shanks 21-9, 21-5. From the show court in the Multnomah Athletic Club, we have Robbie McCarthy and Emmett Peixote coming up in just a few shakes. You stay close. We're going to be back in just a few. We're going to take about a 15-20 minute timeout for Dave Fink, Jeff Kastner, Omar Lemus, Gene Kazumoto, and the Kastner production crew. My name is Dave Vincent. Thank you for tuning in to the Waterford Crystal 2009 World Handball Championships. We'll be back in just a bit.
Look at that bone.